Hello. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This will be my fourth video I've made now. I was inspired by this really beautiful day that I was having. The sun has been out. It is March of 2026. And after spending the last couple months in snow and the cold and not being able to leave my apartment without being absolutely freezing, the sun has decided to reintroduce itself, and it's made me very happy. I've definitely forgot how much I genuinely appreciate the sun. I love winter. I've always preferred the coziness and the vibes of fall, winter, but something about that sun coming out this weekend and today really lifted my spirits and inspired me to make another video. So the sun is out, it is setting now, it is the evening, so if this lighting slowly dissipates, that's why. Excuse the mess of my apartment. If you've seen any of my other videos, you would know that I am still in the process of moving into my apartment. I recently reacquired my belongings from California, so we're still going through the phases of getting things together, so bear with me. But I thought it would be fun to do another ASMR-esque video, this time showing off my records, some of my media collection. It was really fun showing off some of my books, and as I'm unpacking and going through everything, I also wanted to show off my records. I actually do not own a record player. I did once upon a time. I actually had a very robust record collection as well when I lived in California that I stored away in a little storage, a nice secure storage in California. Unfortunately, everything was under my mother's name, and I had not realized, and that storage is no longer there. So somebody is the proud owner of the records that I collected through my adolescence, and I had some very prized possessions. I had pretty much every single Lana Del Rey album on vinyl. I had the Crystal Castles discography on vinyl. I had signed copies of different albums, and I try not to think too much about all the albums lost, and I try to think that whoever they belong to now, I hope they have found a happy home. Regardless, as a record enthusiast and a music enjoyer, I can't help myself. Even if I don't have a record player, I would like to one day again, I will own a record player and give my albums a spin. So for the time being, I still collect here and there. It's a little more, the records I own now it's a smaller collection catered to albums that I love, that I know that I'll want to cherish forever. When I was a younger record collector, I just bought any willy-nilly thing because it was fun to own records and play them on my record player, but we are a little more strategic with our purchases these days. I'll start with the non-records, because I do own a couple CDs and physical media. I have a Brad album by Charlie XCX. We know and love her. I was a big Brad gal. I still am. I still think it's an excellent album. I think it went through a moment where people definitely were kind of over it. because it was so trendy and it was so everywhere, but I still think it's an excellent album. I've been a fan of Miss XCX since I was a teenager, so I would definitely say this is one of my favorite albums by her. And I recently had the pleasure of seeing The Moment in theaters, and that was such a fun little movie-going experience, and it was crazy for adult me to be watching a theatrical release about a Charlie XCX album. My younger self would have definitely been very, very surprised. The next CD I own is this copy of Addison by Addison Rae. So cute. Oh my gosh, it's signed. I definitely forgot that it was signed, but one of my favorite albums of the last year. I think she is doing something very fun and honestly inspirational with pop music. She very much reminds me of me. And I love her outlook on life. I love that she's positive. I love that she is spiritual in a sense. And very natural how she does. And it's so funny because if you had talked to me like 5-6 years ago, I would have been very anti any social media influencer, but I'm loving what Addison Rae is doing with music. So I have her album. And then I have Garden. I think this one is Kiss My Super Bowl Ring. Younger me was a huge Garden fan. I still am a huge Garden fan. I bought that album in Amoeba in Los Angeles when I lived in Los Angeles. I just went one day on a whim. I had known for quite some time about Amoeba, and I popped in, and that was the album I bought when I went to Amoeba, just because I've always been a fan of The Garden, and that one called to me at the time. I also don't own a CD player, so thinking intellectually, I should probably invest in a record player that also doubles as a CD player so I can actually play some of these things. One day. And then the next item is a DVD that I own, but I bought it in one of my physical media thrifting excursions. This is the movie 13. One of my favorite movies ever. It's such a good movie. I'm not even kidding. I rewatch it all the time. I even have gotten my older 30-year-old brother into the movie 13. And he loves it. Every time I visit California, when we're staying together, he wants to watch 13. It's our way of bonding at this point, is watching traumatic lifestyles of 13-year-old girls. But Catherine Hardwicke, the director of 13, also directed the first Twilight movie, if you did not know. And I would say a very distinct detail about Catherine Hardwicke's work is her use of color. If you've seen Twilight or 13, you would know that there is like a color filter over both of those films. I think Twilight is just a general green-blue filter, but in 13, I think I read something that said that she utilizes color to invoke the emotion of the era of the movie we're in, because it goes from like a blue filter for a very sad, monotonous portion of the movie, or green for a more bewildering, like chaotic time frame of the movie, or orange for like anger and passion. And you can definitely see the color take effect in the movie and what it is trying to portray by being set in that color. I know it's so silly to think that something as simple as a color filter can elevate the emotion of a movie, but 13, I think, is a great example of how exactly it does that. Love that movie. And now we will get into the meat and potatoes, the record collection. The first record is Live Through This by Hole. As I said in my last video, going through my book collection, I had a couple of Courtney Love memorabilia scattered about, her manga in particular, but Courtney Love and her band Hole, one of my all-time favorite bands, musicians, as a person. I'm deeply, deeply inspired by Courtney. And so of course I have to own this. It's actually my second time owning this record because I owned it previously before all my records got whisked away from me. So looking at this, trying to distinguish what my favorite song from the record is because I love every single song. I would say my favorite song is probably Asking For It. I think that's an incredible song. I have a little for the most recent addition to the collection. This is Nicole Dollanganger's Natural Born Losers. She is one of my favorite artists. This is my favorite album by her, and it had not been on vinyl for a long time. Otherwise, I would have owned it in my previous adolescent life. But it recently, I would say last year, got pressed. I'm going to show you how cool this vinyl is. I'm not sure actually if this is YouTube safe, but above all, I bought the record because I love this album, and it was a very unique release for one of my favorite albums ever. She is a bit of a more independent niche artist, I would say. Very reminiscent of Lana Del Rey, if you're familiar. Not to say that she isn't a unique artist in her own right, because I do think she is, but if you needed an entry point, I would say Lana Del Rey is similar enough, or Ethel Cain, if you are a fan. But this album has stuck with me through many, many, many years. Since it came out, I believe I've been a big fan of Miss Nicole Dollanganger. My favorite song by her and from this album is absolutely Alligator Blood. Such a unique song. Very gothic, very romantic, very morose. It's not for the uplifting, faint of heart, positive people in this world. If you are open to exploring a little more delicate subject matter in a very beautiful way, I would recommend this album. Our next album is Fiona Apple, Tidal. This was another album that I have always loved and adored. Fiona Apple is obviously an amazing artist. And I've loved this album for many years. I would say the love definitely developed the year I moved to New York. I, for some reason, got really obsessed with her. I've always loved the song Criminal. I think everybody knows that song, but in my cold first winter in New York City, I played this album incessantly. Let me read the track list to you. Sleep to Dream, Solemn Girl, Shadow Boxer, Criminal, Slow Like Honey, The First Taste, Never Is a Promise, A Child Is Gone, Pale September, and Carry On. My favorite songs from this album, obviously Criminal, Shadowboxer, beautiful song, Pale September, great song. She's so beautiful. Definitely one of my favorite albums ever. The next album, Desire, I Want to Turn Into You by Caroline Polachek. This is another one of my absolute favorite artists. I actually bought this when I lived in Chicago, and I was really worried at the time because before I moved to Chicago, it was on sale when I lived in New York, and so I bought it to ship to my apartment in New York. But I was in between a move, and then the production got delayed on the record, so I had to contact them and say, please ship this to Chicago. I cannot miss my lovely little vinyl purchase. But this is an incredible album by a really incredible artist. I think the album cover is one of the most stunning covers of all time. I'm a big sucker for a textless album cover. Just give me a beautiful image that perfectly encapsulates the sound and the vibe of the album. I'm sold. Don't put a tacky big font on it. Welcome to My Island. Great, beautiful song. And also Pretty Impossible is probably my favorite off of this album. Billions is also a great song. I don't know. Oh, Bunny's a Writer, also a great song. But when she put that album on sale, I also got this little tiny single. This is the Billions single. Look at the color. It's a stunning color. This is Billions and Long Road Home. I am just very pleased about it. It's almost like a work of art. I could definitely hang this in my apartment if I wanted to. Oh. The next album is something I got on eBay for $5. When I lived in Chicago, there was a time period where I worked at a retailer. I won't name names, but they had a bit of a new Americana classic kind of style. It was a clothing company. And they were very, very particular about the music they played. They would not let you play modern music. They wouldn't let you play top 40. You were not allowed to pick your songs because they wanted to encapsulate a very particular vibe when shopping at the store. I will say I did discover some gems while working there and listening to the playlist on repeat. And one of the songs they played was Only Yesterday by the Carpenters. And I absolutely became obsessed with that song. I kid you not. I would play it every single day, multiple times a day. And I just had to own a physical record. At the time, we did own a record player in Chicago. It wasn't mine, but my roommate did have one. So I bought my little $5 record from eBay. I would go out, I would come home drunk, and I would put this baby on repeat. Only Yesterday is a great song. I think a song that a lot of people would recognize is Please Mr. Postman. If you know that, I think it was a line. It goes, oh yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. I believe they covered it for this album. Solitaire, another great song. The story of Karen Carpenter is a very tragic and sad one. And yeah, they made some beautiful, beautiful music together. So I'm very, very, very happy that I own this album. As you can see, the sun is setting. It's about 7 p.m. now. New York is not quite falling asleep because it is very, very, very busy looking out my window. I'm propped up on my little windowsill right now. So I apologize if you've heard any vehicles or loud noises or honking, I'm sure. Maybe not ideal for an ASMR video, but we work with what we have. And the very last album is one that I had purchased here in New York at Mother of Junk in Williamsburg. Very cool, eclectic thrift store. If you live in the city, I'm sure you're familiar with Mother of Junk. Has a lot of knickknacks and very, very true vintage, like old things. And they have like a record bin, a couple of like shelves of very old records, very cheap, very hard to find, like albums I would recognize. But I did find a record that I just thought was really pretty for like $3. And this is when I had first moved into my apartment, and I was very, not self-conscious, but like not very pleased by the lack of furniture and decorations that I had filled with my apartment. Truthfully, I pay a lot for this apartment, and what that means is I can't quite afford to make it the most pristine, beautifully decorated apartment. So I do what I can, and I just stumbled upon this very, very affordable record. And I thought it was very beautiful. This is I Can't Give You Anything But Love by Pearl Bailey, Rose Murphy, and Ivy Anderson. Isn't she beautiful? I'm not familiar with any of these women's work, Pearl, Rose, or Ivy, but I thought, wow, first of all, she is stunning. The pink, this particular shade of like hot, bright pink, so cute. This little lace heart motif, also very cute. So I thought she had a home in my apartment. That is all my records. That is everything. Very small, very quaint, very particular. As I said, if I could own one more record, let's brainstorm. If there were one more record that I could own, what would it be? Probably Delaware by the Drop 19s. That's an excellent album. Very, very good album. One of my favorite albums ever. Kick the Tragedy. It's a 10-minute long song, but it's such a beautiful song. No vocals. There is a vocal part, but there's no one singing in the song. Ugh, that song just speaks to my heart. But yeah, thank you for watching. It is getting quite fun making these videos and talking to a camera and building a little YouTube journal, so to speak. Hopefully, you're getting some ASMR enjoyment from my time here on this app, this website. But I hope wherever you are, you also had a beautiful sunny day that is now turning into a quiet moonlit night. And I hope you sleep well tonight.